Okay, we're live again. So, I'll just say this. The idea of clothing is a very good subject of conversation, if I can steer us.
In this series' history, there have been quite a few shows that they sprinkle in about Mallory and fashion. And if I remember correctly, I almost always enjoy them. And this is probably the exception through, once again, absolutely no fault of the Justine Bateman.
Yeah, I into her storyline when they didn't need to be there.
Right.
That was the problem.
Oh
wait, we didn't even say that episode 2, designing
Dixie Carter and Delta Burke and Jean Smart and Annie Potts.
And Meshack Taylor.
Meshack Taylor. Yes, I have to do remember the one male.
Yes.
So this episode starts with them in the kitchen in a moment that is just weird to me and goes on for a really long time. And it is Alex reading the financial pages of the newspaper while Mallory sketches humming the song, especially very popular with, believe it or not, Jews.
The longer the bit went on, the more I felt like it might be anti-Semitic.
Well, that's exactly what I thought too. The longer it went on, I thought, hey, Gary David Goldberg, maybe this is getting a little nasty and mean-spirited.
Yeah, I mean, because it's obviously Gary David Goldberg. This is his show, but it was just when you have Michael J. Fox and Justine Bateman singing this, it just didn't read the right way for me.
You know, especially, and I'll tell you, here's probably the biggest problem for me, is I know that the lyric to "If I Were a Rich Man," when written, is deedle diddle diddle deedle diddle deedle diddle dum. That's how the lyric is written. It's not to ever be sung that way. It is a prayer chant. And when Zero Mostel did it originally, and everyone who has done it since then has sung it, "If I Were a Rich Man," you know, there was a Smurf joke. Someone made a Smurf. I'm sneezing.
Oh, bless you. I would say cut that out. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever heard you sneeze. You sneeze so many times in a row.
Oh, like 7 times. I'm a 7-time sneezer. I'm a
Fox making a Smurf joke to Mallory about her drawing like the
and she starts getting crazy excited with that. She has been hired to be an apprentice at David Campbell Fashion, the biggest fashion designer in all of Ohio.
Great.
I pause for reaction. There we go. Alex, of course, mocks the fact that all of the students at Grant College applied for this. So that's definitely cause for Alex to mock her for going to college.
Right. Lest we forget
that he doesn't go to Grant College. He goes to, where does he go? What's the name of his school?
He says he goes to Leland, but it's been like a season and a half since we've seen him at a fucking class.
That's right. He spent more time in Lauren's lab being a guinea pig for her than he has in any of his economics classes.
Yeah.
She tries to explain to Alex that there's long hours and he's very mean and they don't get paid, but it is an honor to be selected. So she is very excited and very complimented, and her ego has definitely been stroked that she is going to apprentice for David Campbell Fashion. So we head into the living room for the second scene with Alex reading Robin Hood to Andrew.
And this is where he gives Andrew a sort of cockeyed version of Robin Hood, where he steals from the poor and gives to the rich, and that they invest. A great setup eventually to one of the 2 laughs in this episode.
Absolutely.
Stephen hates Ronald Reagan.
Right. The debate
Yes.
bait.
Yes.
Back to it. So we have a whole bunch of anti-Reagan jokes, and in comes the woman who is going to guide Mallory through her apprenticeship at David Campbell Fashion, and her name is Jamie Carter.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say Jamie Carter or Jimmy Carter?
Ah, you see, there's the joke that they play. So upon hearing the name Jamie Carter, Michael J. Fox, from a seated position, if I remember correctly, on the couch, jumps into a seated Stephen Keaton's arms, who's also seated right next to him on the couch.
It was very dexterous. I was impressed at the physicality of both of them.
And every time we've seen Alex jump into someone's arms, which happens often enough, at least once a season, we are always impressed with it. But it always comes in like almost like a desperation joke. And this to me was like a desperation joke. She won't just be an apprentice. She'll also be expected to do errands and get coffee, that it's really a low-level entry position. But Mallory is just, as optimistic and excited as ever. She's very excited about starting the job. She wants to show her designs to Jamie. And the way it's said definitely telegraphs what the hell is coming up in the near future.
Yeah, this is a deep dive into the evils of capitalism, folks.
And it's a real shallow dive into the sitcom plot that we've seen a fucking gazillion times before. I believe the Dobie Gillis show had this one, maybe even The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. This plot's been around for 150 years, so she's going to show her designs to her superior. I wonder what good thing is going to happen now. So we go to the studio of David Campbell Design, and Mallory is clearly in heaven. This is a very glamorous day, week, year for Mallory. She's thrilled. We meet David Campbell. Jamie wants to introduce Mallory to David Campbell, and Mallory, poor Michael J. Fox gets to jump into Daddy's arms. Mallory gets to pin herself to a dress dummy.
And she has to shake his hand, but can't.
Right.
So she quickly takes off the jacket that she's wearing.
And as it turns out, Jamie wants to show David Campbell immediately David Campbell wants to see Jamie's new design. Jamie definitely does not want to show it to David Campbell. And
with that, we'll be right back. And we're back. So, the one person that we didn't speak of in that scene before they broke for commercial, under 5, or I don't even want to say under 5. I think just Sans accent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, wow, just do it like a gay designer, and now just do it like a gay, I don't know what your accent is, designer.
Right. What was funny about it is he didn't go as gay as I was expecting him to go with it. It was a little bit muted, more than I would have expected on a sitcom in 1988.
And I was spending way too much time during the scene trying to figure out the Hank Azaria connection. I was trying to connect him to Michael J. Fox. I came up with absolutely nothing. It was just he first came to our public consciousness.
Right. And obviously The Simpsons shortly after this. Like, I feel like The Simpsons started in 89.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much after.
Yeah.
Well, we start the second act with Alex and Jennifer playing chess. And in a very, very long bit that has nothing to do with this episode, but that made both, and we talked about this before we started to record, in a bit that made me laugh too. I thought this was a very long-winded bit. And it's a bit based upon the history of brother and sister, that they've played chess many times with each other.
Right.
And so it worked on his part. He had to make it so believable for her that she had to look, even though she knew that there was nothing there.
Yeah, and it was absurd, and I thought that was a really good joke. It had nothing to do with anything, but...
No, and it made me laugh too. I thought it was a good little set piece, and that's always nice when they can do something like that. Mallory, of course, comes in and ruins the whole scene, bringing back to the plot again with the big news that Jamie Carter has stolen her designs and is going to take full credit for it at the show. And of course, Jennifer and Alex tell her to confront Jamie Carter. You have to confront her. That's what you have to do. In the real world, that's what people do. They defend their own stuff. What happens in this scene, though, is ridiculous over and over again. This is the scene that sets up the final scene, which is, of course, classic Family Ties final scene. But this scene leading into the final scene, just to me, it's like, wow, it's so off the rails. We start with the Jamie and Mallory being assigned by David Campbell that they have to work together during the show. And of course, Jamie doesn't really want to work with Mallory, and Mallory doesn't really want to work with Jamie because they both know the truth. And we meet one of the models right off the bat. Her name is Yvette. And here's where I'm just saying it's so over the top. Their depiction of models, both times in this scene, both female models, are just ripped new assholes. They're just made out to look like fools.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe a model like
so both the models snap, and Alex then walks in, and all I could think of is he walked in a la Donald Trump at the Miss Universe pageant. You know, like here's a guy walking into a frenzy of activity backstage at a fashion show with women in all different states of dress and undress, and Alex just fucking walks in like he's Donald Trump.
She says she's Jamaican because she says "man."
She backs down, and then in the ultimate humiliation, David Campbell from the runway and motions to Jamie or to everybody, come everybody, take a bow. And all of the designers and models go out taking a bow, leaving apprentices who were coffee girls and errand girls, not designers, in the room, sort of sadly standing there, not taking a bow, as Mallory.
Yeah.
And we now go into the kitchen for our patented Family Ties backdoor finish. God bless them. They don't want to disappoint me ever again, I can tell.
Yeah, this final kitchen scene kind of has everything.
Never different in any episode, being a horrible human being.
What would be the good version of the ending here? Something where she could black
it about you. Dave, I have really good news for you. David wants to buy the jacket design, and he wants to sign a deal with you for this 5 design. You know, give her a solid offer here.
Yes.
For the next 5 design, you know, give her a solid offer here.
Yes. In this case, all that really happens is this sort of moral victory that
right.
she owned up to stealing Mallory's idea.
That's right. And then came and fessed up to Mallory that she fessed up to David.
But the whole point of this episode, as I said before, is about capitalism. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, like, I mean, that's sort of why I think the Robin Hood thing comes up, the stealing from the poor to give to the rich. I think that's why they talk about multiple times that Mallory just doesn't understand how the business world works. And
I was going to